This is the first toy award itself, and Thesis of the Year Award, ARCASIA Thesis of the Year Award, and the first webinar that we are having because we thought that given the pandemic, take the opportunity, we've had so many things online, we could actually share this with students across Asia, because the resource that has now been created with the kind of very quality submissions that came in has been superb. So the idea was that let us share with everyone, and each student or recent graduate would definitely benefit from it. I would now like to invite our dear chairman of ACAE, Deandra, to welcome everyone.
So thank you, Khadija, for taking up this beautiful initiative of organizing a webinar for the winners of Thesis of the Year Award 2020. And I'm much thankful to my president, Rita, to have given us this opportunity. If I go in history, the toy has been, the idea of toy was initiated by our dear friend,
Niru,
from ASA, and she's been actually coming up with this proposal from last 4 to 5 years. And with the support of my predecessor, Professor Nuno, and my deputy chairman, Adranta, and our committee members, we were able to pass a resolution in Dhaka meeting 2019 that we would start up with the Toy Award. Toy 2020 would be the first Toy Award. And since 2020, we could not organize a physical event, so this was given to the committee to organize it, and the Thesis of the Year 2020 was well organized, with Peklada being the first convener and our secretariat, with the help of architect Navpreet and the other team members, we were able to kind of complete it nicely. So ARCASIA Thesis of the Year Award Toy 2020 is being introduced as a celebratory event for recognition of fresh ideas and distinguished thesis of final year students passing their academic terms. It came up as a creative pathway of knowledge exchange among students. The wholesome objective was to provide an international platform by ARCASIA in order to enhance the architecture academics around the world. The latest completed thesis of the final year students was nominated from the member countries of ARCASIA through their member institutes, and which is now showcased in the ARCASIA Toy Award 2020. With this webinar session with the winners, I congratulate all the winners for this accomplishment, and to the convener, architect Khadija Jamal from Institute of Pakistan, for this great thought and for this great program. I thank you all and wish best to all. And one more information I would like to pass on. 2020, since it was our first maiden project, 2021, our council under the leadership of our President Rita has been kind enough to start to initiate a cash award also for toy, but that would start from 2021. So it's a nice beginning, and we would be giving $500 to the first prize holder. Second prize will get $300 and 3 bronze medalists, the third award winners, will get $100 each, but that would start from 2021. The council has agreed on that resolution very recently. This is just an information, and the virtual award ceremony is supposed to take place in Shanghai later in the year, and we'll keep you posted. So now I would request President Rita to say a few words and recognize the award winners in Thesis of the Year Award 2020. President Rita.
Thank you, Ganendra. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, my dear colleagues, fellow architects, architectural students, and friends of our ARCASIA community. A very good afternoon, good morning, especially for those in South Asia, to all of you. Welcome to this first ever virtual presentation on toy, which is Thesis of the Year Award webinar. Ganendra had kindly went through with you the historical aspect of how toy came about. And at this moment in time, I'd just like to inform you that we are in the process of formalizing this award together with the yearly design competition award. Yeah, so the details will come out later. I have always said that education of architects is the key foundation for our fraternity's survival, not only in the grooming of young architects of architecture, but also the lifelong continuing education of our practicing architects. Values and skill set embodied in our architectural education, as well as the rigorous training, has provided us the ability to think and work across multiple disciplines. Also, with new technology come a wealth of information, many of which are often seemingly unrelated. So it is then important for us to hone the ability to appreciate the many society concerns, look at patterns, distill the vast knowledge and information in order to extract the key issues and be able to synthesize them to help us create a better environment we wanted. COVID-19, as Ganendra has said, has brought our attention to the many weaknesses and cracks in our societies, the building industry, and our profession. With many working from home and even in lockdown situation, this virus is indeed a catalyst for change. Now, given the disruption and hardship inflicted by COVID-19, we need to find better solutions to help us build back better and to champion the tenets of sustainability and resiliency we embrace in ARCASIA. So in fact, I am indeed very heartened that our ACAE committee, under the able leadership of Chairman Ganendra, Deputy Chair Adrianta, and Convener Khadija, and the very active team of committee members, had rejuvenated the Toy Award in addition to the yearly Student Design Competition Award. I'm also equally delighted that our students over the spread of architectural schools across the countries in ARCASIA are now very aware of the many societal, climatic, and cultural concerns of our natural and built heritage. In particular, the fragility of our Asian rich tapestry of social and cultural heritage. These concerns were manifested in many submissions that the students submitted. So at this juncture, I'd like to extend our heartiest congratulations to the winners of this year 2020, or rather last year 2020 award, Toy Award. Keep up the good work, and I hope you will continue to pursue the width and the depth of your concerns. Even as you graduate to work as young architects, you will realize that these early research and thought gathering process is somehow embedded in your subconsciousness, and they will influence your work later on. And for those who have not won, our team has also placed all shortlisted finalists on the ebook as a wonderful recognition and encouragement to you to continue your quest to find better solutions for our environment. It is no longer just an academic pursuit, but something that you appreciate as you graduate and work as an architect. I'm sure you have the passion and tenacity to one day bring your ideas to fruition. So finally, I'd like to wish you a very fruitful webinar this afternoon. Meanwhile, do take care wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita. Now we will actually go through a process of handing out e-certificate. And for that, I request Yendra and President Rita to virtually hand out that certificate as it comes on screen. And the convener of TOY, Peshlada, will read out the citation for each of the certificates as it comes on screen. But before I do that, I would like to convey the names of the jurors who went through a whole process of shortlisting of the very many entries that came from each of the countries, which is very heartening. And then the whole process of shortlisting, and doing all of this virtually is not an easy task at all. So each individual went through the shortlisting, then we went through the top 10 on each one's list, and then a final meeting again online, which lasted for a couple of hours to come to these winners. So it was very difficult because there's a rich material that came in, but we went through the process, and I'm sure as the Peshlada, as the convener, and our ACA chair would join me in thanking the entire jury for their time. So the head juror we have here today, who's our moderator for the afternoon, is architect Nuno Suarez. Chairman ACAE Gandra was also the juror. And along, we cannot never leave out Adrianta, the deputy chair, the very animated Adrianta. We had ARCASIA President's nominee, architect George Kunihoro, as a juror. And then juror from Zone A was myself. From Zone B, we had Professor Mutaki, who is present here today. And from Zone C, we have Inbom Kim, and he's also joined us here today. And of course, the convener, Paishlada. So may I start having the certificates on screen, Manisha and Shraddha? And Paishlada, if you can start reading out the citation as before.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this great event. Khadija, such a good event for our students around Asia. This is the certificate of recognition. This the certificate is awarded to Chun Yu Kelvin for the winning first prize in ARCASIA Thesis of the first year for this Toy Awards 2020, organized by ARCASIA. And congratulations to Chun Yu Kelvin.
Right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Are you able to read the citation?
Okay, my citation, sorry. I just see exit full screen. Okay, my citation, okay. Actually, as Jayanantra said, that Toy ARCASIA is dedicated to fresh ideas in thesis from the final year students in first professional degree programs of each country members. It opens a route of knowledge exchange of architectural education. The ARCASIA Thesis, or Thesis of the Year 2020, is organized by ASA as first. For the kickstart, ASA is the Association of Siamese Architects under royal patronage. For the initial year, we coordinate with Council Dean of Architectural Association in Thailand, and as the conveners for this year. In the long term, ARCAE will continue Toy ARCASIA for further bypassing Toy ARCASIA for the host Asian Congress of Architects, or ARCASIA, by one of member countries. The objective of ARCASIA Thesis of the Year 2020, or Toy ARCASIA 2020, are included: to provide an arena for schools of architecture in ARCASIA member countries and their first architecture profession degree or bachelor degree and master arc, whichever qualifies as first accredited degree by respective national boards, authorities, and councils, to display students' potentials and fresh ideas in international platform by ARCASIA in order to heighten and elevate architecture education in Asia. The nominated theses from country members of ARCASIA are submitted via ARCASIA member institutes. Each institute must set up a procedure to select national winners and submit 3 national winners to Toy ARCASIA Committee, to the final judging by Toy ARCASIA Judging Committee. The work must be a latest and currently completed thesis of 5 of the 5th or final year student in the first professional degree program, or 5 years bachelor degree, or 4+2 years of master degree of architect, accredited and qualified for professional registration of the country. However, thesis or professional or postgraduate course, for example, master programs that are taken after bachelor degree course or professional degree, will not be eligible of the consideration. Students cannot submit their work directly to Toy ARCASIA. And now we reach for the final of the process of Toy ARCASIA. Just like to congratulations for all students that you are the winners, and all students for the shortlist. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paishlada. So the first, the jury citation for the first, the gold winner reads as follows. This project tackles individual participation and evolution over time, critical architecture ambitions, which are often discussed but seldom designed. It explores a possible architectural materialization of these principles by creating a system and a process that aim to balance individual and collective needs. This innovative scheme proposes housing units that are configured by users and reconfigurable over time, creating a dynamic and ever-changing architectural ecosystem. It is not a project of a building, but the design of a new system of evolutive architecture coordinated with the existing building industry. The project doesn't solve all issues, but raises important questions and opens doors for future innovation. It celebrates diversity with the message of tolerance and inclusion, calling for a more participated and evolutive architecture. Once again, congratulations, Calvin. Can I
Thank you.
have the second certificate on screen, please? The silver winner, Mohammad Faris. So the jury citation reads as follows. This thesis, Levi Ganglia, stands out of for its consideration of local residents' life continuity. It analyzes the reasons why it failed the previous migration policy for indigenous people caused by a gigantic hydroelectric dam, and then attempts to establish a cyclical system of local life by arranging programs like residence, production, distribution, and consumption around this infrastructure where they lived. It shows that when systemized architecture introduces a comprehensive program and is built according to the local environment with appropriate technology, it could improve the living conditions of residents and realize a sustainable community. This eco-friendly structure presents a new but familiar landscape to this area in a poetic way, showing the identity of Orang Asli residents like an ancient futures voice. So congratulations, Faris, and I congratulate on behalf of Rita and Viandra. If you would like to, as you are handing out the certificate, I was just reading the citation. Okay, can I move on to the third winners, please? All right, so we have here, I would like to call her Jessie because I said I don't want to mess up on mispronunciation of the name. And the project, the jury citation for the CV project reads as the nature of design, ecology, culture, and human intention, where a distinction between imaginative and notational use of architectural drawings is introduced. It is further shown with the design philosophy, cognitive science, and an art criticism, how such a representational mode of viewing drawings leads to an imaginative engagement that is the hallmark of an aesthetic experience. The design will take a distinctively interdisciplinary and critical perspective, highlighting the concept of ecology as more than a mere synonym for environment, encompassing the complex web of interconnections that bind people's nature, ideas, technologies, cultures, and histories with their changing environments. Congratulations, Jessie. And the next bronze winner, please. The next bronze winner's jury citation reads as the project stood out for its concept of integrating industry, which is manufacturing, with community, social, to bring back the soul in a reinvigorated body of the city. Taking cue from the traditional life where work-life balance thrived and encouraged in the city planning, this project has innovatively tried to bring this essence back sensitively and appropriate for current times. This is very progressive. Not many attempt to look at factories as part of an overall city, but rather shun away to the periphery. This project appreciates that manufacturing has byproducts and has attempted to deal with it to maintain a sustainable environment. The presentation from concept to development is very consistent. Congratulations, Wilson. And then the jury, since we said that we had many good projects, so the jury decided to actually have an honorable mention as well. May I have the honorable mention certificate on screen, please? So the honorable mention goes to Lawrence Malangues. He's from Philippines. He will not be able to join us today because he's not in Manila and he does not have good internet connection at present. The jury citations reads, residential buildings in the equatorial area and tropical forests are unique with the vernacular architecture. In the Philippine archipelago, you can find various typologies of residential units, including Bahay Kubo vernacular architecture has the characteristics of respecting the environment in which it is located by utilizing the potential supporting biodiversity. The concept of developing a combination of vernacular architecture and biodiversity, the design of the idea of the apology, and there are 7 main priorities to be developed. The selection of a development location that can be accessed via a national highway and close to the Sabalayan beach is very supportive of the community's educational mission to appreciate the importance of environmental conservation and forest preservation. Bahay Kubo's vernacular architectural form makes it easier for people today, the millennials, to recognize the importance of this mission. The use of modular structural patterns and the use of solar panel technology as well as green wall placement is a smart approach to simplicity of the concept. The space formed by the system module is effectively utilized. The apology has taught about the simplicity of the concept of combining architecture and biodiversity to help conservation programs of the environment, tropical forests that are often seen so complicated. Congratulations to Lawrence, and I'm sure this will be sent to him. So all these e-certificates will be mailed to the participants. And now after, I'm sorry if you're not in person, otherwise I'm sure it would be a larger celebration. Now I will hand over the mic to Nuno for his opening words, and then he can go on to the presentations. Thank you.
So glad to be here with all of you. I'll have a few words to kickstart the presentations. So Thesis of the Year was a project that started years back under my term as ACAI chair. The main idea was to create a platforms for disciplinary sharing within ARCASIA countries. There is world-class work that is being produced in our universities that deserves more attention and more recognition. Toy ARCASIA is that platform, and this is the first edition that was very, very successful. It's a very good proof of concept with excellent quality, diversity, and relevance of topics and projects. Under these difficult circumstances of the pandemic, this was a very successful edition already, so I think that we have very good prospects for the future. The winning entries combine design excellence, technical quality, local contribution, and the global relevance with a personal and individual perspective. Congratulations to all the projects all the shortlisted were of excellent quality. Congratulations for our students. I'm looking forward for your presentations, and I'm looking also forward for your future work as fellow architects within ARCASIA. Congratulations.
May I now request Kelvin? I'm sure you're all itching to start your presentation. Kelvin, the winner, the gold winner, please go ahead.
Okay, shall I share my screen?
Yes, please, please do.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. So Hong Kong, one of the wealthiest ultra high density city in the world, most of the citizens living in high-rise building. No doubt that the development of early housing development has provided a basic shelter for a lot of citizens to a minimum standard of living. Apart from providing basic shelter for the residents, I think the quality of living are equally essential. Prefabrication element for facade feature had gradually been used in the housing project in the later over a half century of development. the percentage of prefabrication element was increased from 70% to 65%. But at the same time, the overall standardization of building layout and modular design has limited flexibility of providing variation of living units. Oversimplified housing allocation system is unable to reflect the complexity of family and different groups. Not to mention different individuals may have different living habits. Especially we are in the period of the post-industrial society. Nowadays, more complex family structures and lifestyle have emerged in Hong Kong and also other cities. It calls for the need for reconsidering the quality and requirement for our living environment. The left behind housing design neglect a high level of needs that the residents required. The homogeneous housing model are no longer an adequate reflection of the quality of life of living in this post-industrial society. So this thesis has introduced a reverse design methodology, not only using space syntax as an analytical tool, but also a design tool that enhances the living environment by using algorithm design and computational design to provide an interactive process that allow reconfigurable spatial arrangement to cycle the design process. Bill Hillier mentioned in Space in the Machine, a set of different unit layout for housing project define the pattern of user behavior. In another word, the living behavior can be reflected in the unit layout. Any oversimplified residential unit layout is eliminating the complexity of the resident's life. Different from traditional design process, reverse design methodology not only tests out different iteration and outcome, but also anticipates every single user's preference into the algorithm. Therefore, this system effectively acts as a tool for people to define what they specifically want. A single apartment was used for the first trial simulation in order to test out the possibility and limitation of the algorithm. Apartment configuration change based on the user preference. In this case, size of the space, which also affect the apartment footprint. In another case, the linkage between the space increase the complexity of spatial arrangement and hierarchy of the space can also create the flexibility and variation for different needs. The generative design allows the algorithm using computational power going through certain evaluation criteria and specific objective to obtain an optimal solution. However, in that case, there are still 1,000 combinations of the apartment configuration, which leading to the next step of the thesis. So to maintain a certain level of quality for the residents, various basic criteria can be introduced to the algorithm to improve and optimize the result. The algorithm should be able to optimize and balance between these criteria and offer a variety of optimized results for the users to select. Community rules can also be set up from the collective opinion from the residents. It can be easily customized for various scenario, site, culture, or climate. The algorithm not only can enhance the uniqueness in terms of the individuals, but also the individuality to the whole community. The algorithm anticipates the individual preference into mass housing design. The high complex system can balance and negotiate conflict between the interests. Through computed iterations, it brings additional complexity into the mass housing while balancing conflict. The multi-objective simulation allows the algorithm to explore a huge amount of solution space, come up with multiple solutions to fulfill different weighting or of different criteria. So after almost 10 decades of development of prefab element, it evolved from just partition panel to structural element or even low volumetric element. Recently, a new interest of prefab element because of the development of computational, the beam technology linking between modular and also the computational. the standardization of structure doesn't equal the standardization of space. This research has combined both benefit from discrete material and high-rise structure by introducing a hybrid structural system in Hong Kong scenario. The whole building contains various structural systems to balance the cost of construction and also the flexibility of floor plate configurations. Toward the final part of the thesis, but actually it's not the final result. Whole thesis is focusing on the mechanism of new housing type, the constant evaluation of our living habit with physical environment can fit into the design cycle constantly. The continuity of collecting new data can keep updating and improving the physical environment. This interactive process establishes a new definition of participatory design and bottom-up design. Unit can be reconfigured based on user preference, the high variety unit outcome showing the mechanism, giving a great freedom to residents and balancing different criteria at the same time.
All right.
Humans should not compromise an aspiration of living environment. People should not be classified into classes and should be given the freedom of choice for what they want and need. Living environment should not restrict human activity, but to enhance it. This research project aims to challenge the fundamental issue of living environment and not be in limit to the design methodology and construction method, from highly rigid and standardization module to bottom-up and democratic housing allocation system. It shows the possibility and in applications in the future. The system not only fulfill the basic physical needs, but also respect the uniqueness of the individual and communities. Such ever-changing system is great to actively respond to the demand of residents and help them to achieve a better quality of life. Thank you.
May I request everyone to actually mute their mics? Only the person who will be speaking or presenting can have that on. Thank you very much, Kelvin. It's really very interesting and very much the need of the time project. We will actually debate on it and discuss it later. I will now request Paris to start his presentation. Silver winner.
All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. I will start sharing my screen now.
Is there music playing somewhere that I can hear? Somebody?
Yeah. All right. Okay. I will share now. Everyone can see. Hi, my name is Muhammad Farazin from Malaysia, International Islamic University Malaysia. My thesis is Levi Ganglia, Sustainable Orang Asli Settlement at Ulu Jalai Hydroelectric Dam, Cameron Highland, Pahang, Malaysia. First of all, why I did want to do this project? Why Orang Asli? Which is, this is like a Malay term. The English term is Aborigines. I will use the Orang Asli term all along this presentation. And why hydroelectric dam? What are the relationship and the connection between these two? And how this is a human-centered design. But before that, have you imagined our life without electricity? It will be dark, hard to do work, and even it is possible for us to work from home in these pandemic situations. It is undeniable that this is our basic needs in our life, and who have been impacted the most to fulfill our needs? These are the questions that we must ask ourselves when dealing with these situations. This is one of our source main of electricity, Ulu Jalai Hydroelectric Dam in Malaysia. But what are the story behind this construction of the dam? 14 villages of Aborigines, tribe from Semai and Temia, have been impacted due to development of these projects, and 3 villages need to be relocated due to the construction. a few problem composition by the authorities are not promised earlier to the villages, and composition only paid for agricultural plan and not lands, and few others problem have been arising at their new villages. First, the number of house provided is not sufficient. Second, the design of the house are not practical. When the authorities give the house, they have built another house at the back of their houses because they are not comfortable with the main of these houses. They cannot practice their lifestyle due to limited access of lands and forests and limited of water supply. And basically these problems of suppression toward indigenous due to the construction of the dams is not limited in Malaysia. In Ethiopia, Brazil, Peru, India, Panama, Mexico, Zimbabwe, it's a worldwide issue that need to be addressed because indigenous people have been impacted because of the developments of the dam. However, we can deny that there is a positive impacts of the dam because it supply electricity and also it improve daily jobs through the needs of electricity. And also we cannot deny also the negative impact because of the dam, because we know that this has been impacted of indigenous people there. So here comes a speculative design solution where I try to integrate the sunken village into the design schemes so that both parties will receive benefit through these projects, and it will restore and create a better ecosystem of typology in the future, and also it will act as a catalyst in the developments of the Orang Asli. This is a picture of my site study, how I went and go to the sites, picture with the head villagers, and also try to understand what are the needs of the villagers in the surrounding villages. My design concept and inspiration started by themselves, which is called Tempuk. It's a headpiece that usually wear by Orang Asli on a certain occasions. It also symbol of unity and connections between tribes of Orang Asli in Malaysia. The design brief basically, the keyword here is a self-sustained and self-sufficient, because we know that we did not want to give a fish to them. We want to give them a fish hook so that they can grow and become a better self in these developments. So I try to implement a closed loop circular economy system so that they can benefit by introducing this kind of architecture towards the developments. If you can see here, developments of the design brief, starting from the ecology, social and economy, and it's expanded so that all of this connection can be integrated to each other. Yeah, of course, when we are designing, we might have a base, because we know that this is like a cultural sensitive issues. So I try to attract a genus loci, sense of place, cluster and zonings, and also modular housing adaptation into the design, so that this can be a design guide when I'm doing something in this design process, so that it will be culturally sensitive and architecturally feasible. The design purposes is simple yet comprehensive. This is a regeneration of reclaiming indigenous livings. The design development basically starting with the usual sampah, wind direction, solar facings, the division of the zoning from public, semi-private to the private spaces, and also three main components that I will introduce, cultural, agricultural, and also residential. This is the first view on how this development will look like from agricultural plots overlooking the residential cluster through the main passageway. This is my overall master plan. If you can see here, the developments of the cultural spaces, agricultural, and also residential. This is like a public, semi-private, and also private. So this is like the main road. So that the design basically trying to focus more on residential and also agricultural, because this is a quite big project. So my design basically focus more on residential and also agricultural attachments towards this design. And this is how the design guide can be used, because we know that the developments of the from private into public, so that this design guide basically becoming my main idea and intentions when designing these settlements for Orang Asli. This is the overall master plan axonometrics on how it will look like because on this speculative architectural view. This is the second perspective on view from the main passageway towards the community tower and also to the Orang Asli modular housings. I'm starting with the Orang Asli modular housing because we know that when we give the house and they can't live in the house, so why we give modular houses so that they can build their own houses. So these modular houses basically function like an IKEA IKEA items. So every items come from one piece to another pieces. So they can combine and also build their own houses so that the attachment, so that the genius loci and also sense of place can be developed into them until the kitchen unit, also the railing unit also can be modular. So when we go for modular, there are numerous and also infinity possibilities of house layout arrangement because to fit the needs of the peoples, so there is like only few type that I develops for the Orang Asli housings. Because I'm developing this extension of the houses from Lim Juan Yan, the extension of the Malay houses, how it can be developed from main houses and also develop towards more big houses depend on the demands. Of course, we need to be cultural sensitive. This is an adaptation of the construction technique because initially they use woods and stuff. I try to improvise the construction technique, but then use the same shape, same technique, so that will be more durable and flexibility towards the times. This the sectional perspective towards the Orang Asli modular housing, exposing different type of activities taking place in the scheme from the kitchen towards the open area and also living area in the developments. 15 simple installation methods for the modular housings can be seen here, starting from positioning of the concrete stump until locating of the modular kitchens, so that will be much more easier for them to construct modular housings. This is the view from inside the house, and this is my skill model on how the house will look like, a sectional view of the modular Orang Asli housings. Because we know that this house doesn't have like utilities and stuffs. So this community tower becoming like a few function. First, it will act a energy tower as a concentrated solar power, atmospheric water collector. And also becoming a water tank for the houses, so that this will be like a clean designs towards the developments. These are some of the repetitive modular construction units, so that will be easily transported towards the sites. And this is the view of the sectional perspective of the house and also the community tower, so that they can get here for any occasions and can go back to their own houses. This is a sustainable approach that I try to implement because we know that my site is quite in high rise, so it will be a good advantage to use fog as a water collecting systems, and I've been sure that it's been used all around the world, and also rainwater harvesting systems, and also the using of concentrated solar power system instead of typical normal solar photovoltaic panels. So this will be like a more efficient way to harvest the sustainable energy towards the developments. And also this is my scale models towards the community tower. This is the overall view. Because this is like a sustainable project, I try to introduce a very different type of sustainable energy, and also the using of wind turbine to the source wind of energy due to the Fresnel and Venturi effects because of the location between two mountains. And coming into the agricultural part, because like I said, I didn't want to give them a fish, but this is like a method of fish hook so that they can work in these settlements. Because in Cameron Highland, in my specific site, it's very famous for agricultural produce. So this agricultural pot can be used as a different type of planting technique from strawberry, tomato, flower, chili, coriander. So all type of planting technique have been used to implement in these agricultural pots. The system of luck simulation so that these can be feasible, and also the aeroponic and aquaponic planting in the systems, so that this is a view from the perspective. And this is how it can be used, floating structure, passageway to collect waste to the main building, a pulley system so that all of the produce can be transported easily because the nature of the sites, so it will be much more easy to transport this using the pulley system, and also multi-level planter to maximize production and agricultural produce. And this is a view of the scale model of the agricultural plot and perspective from the houses to viewing towards the whole developments. And of course, I cannot miss to use the sustainable development goal of the United Nations. I try to highlight a few points, which is goal 7 until goal 12, from affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure, to reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, and also responsible consumption and productions. This is scale model number 4, a view of the whole developments of the schemes. As a conclusion, we design from a human to another human, from one community to another community, and what differentiates us is empathy that instilled within us. It is indeed to help others who are in need, and every human is equal with the same opportunities. This is indeed a regeneration of reclaiming indigenous living. Therefore, this design proposal is a manifestation of helping others who are in need, to prove that this is a human-centered design, the design that need in our worlds. Thank you, and good day, everyone.
Thank you very much. Very, very comprehensive. And I think, again, in terms of where development, it's a question of development at what cost, and yet keeping the human beings as the central of development. Now we will move on to the first bronze winner. There was a tie. And can I request Jessie to please start her presentation?
Yes, I'll share the screen now. Full screen. So hi, I'm Jessie, and I'm going to present my thesis and the seaweed machine and regenerative architecture for Dongpengzhao. The thesis project would take seaweed's role and mechanism as the foundation to explore the regenerative architecture theory. The ultimate design would be an alternative architectural prototype with integration of nature-inspired regenerative mechanism. Seaweeds could intake huge amount of carbon dioxide, around 5 times that land plants do, while transforming them into carbohydrates through photosynthesis. Ocean is occupying 2/3 of the world's surface, and we could foresee its potential under the issue of climate change. I will adopt the nature-inspired design methodology and to create a regenerative architecture with seaweeds. In contrast to ordinary sustainable architecture, regenerative architecture hopes to provide additions to community and beneficial to both man and nature. The thesis is to create a cycle, a system, with seaweeds reconnecting the nature and man, finding a new equilibrium between the two parties. Dongpengzhao is an island located at the east coast of Hong Kong. It could be considered as an isolated island with only a 2-hour ferry getting there in weekend. The reason for me to choose this island as sites is as its own large amount of seaweeds sargassum at Long Lok Sui. In the past, some of the Hong Kong fishermen harvest seaweed with equipment. The traditional skill set and seaweed culture is considered as an indispensable part of island history. Those Through studying the production process in modern seaweed factory, I try to develop series of systems as a remix of both traditional harvesting skill and modern technology. A harvesting machine, a tanks for stirring with stirring fans are adopted to stir the seaweeds to enhance the efficiencies and to ensure seaweed freshness, and the fermentation tanks could transform the seaweeds into biofuel to support the factory, and the drying machines facilitate the process with tailored design to allow visitors to have close observations to the production process. A concept model with the preliminary design ideas of seaweed machines has been made to clarify the ideas in adopting the seaweed to regenerate carbon dioxide, to revitalize the island. I'll play the video to illustrate the concept foundation for the design project.
Can you imagine? A regenerative factory evolved from traditional seaweed harvesting culture. It is factory with assistance of futuristic machines. It is a user-friendly factory for workers, enhancing the efficiency of harvesting seaweed. It is an experimental center for children to observe the seaweed production process. It is a combination of both traditional and modern seaweed harvesting skills. People might have a question. Tons of carbon dioxide would be emitted from the factory. How could it be regenerative? Regenerative seaweed machine. It regenerates the ecology. It regenerates the villages.
In order to achieve the conceptual ideas as shown, the research elements have been consolidated. Utilizing the seaweeds at the island, adopting designed architecture as machines, and could foresee the outcome to be an imaginative prototype to address the carbon emission issue. The thesis has involved multiple elements requiring certain levels of scientific knowledge. Throughout the research and design process, I've tried to consult several experts in climate change, seaweed ecology, and marine science. They provide the base for me to design the machine in regenerating carbon dioxide. The rates of absorbing carbon dioxide and sequestration of carbon dioxide is analyzed with review of scientific research reports and estimates, and with estimation of seaweed farm size required for the island. As a brief of the project, I then determined the ratio of carbon dioxide emissions and size of seaweed farm through case study analysis. The calculations determined the project size. The master plan shows the program, the seaweed factory, the communal facilities, and the marine lab forming part of the design scheme. At the same time, to regenerate, to revitalize the island, villages highlighted in pink would be repaired to accommodate about 250 people. One of the key principles of regenerative design is to utilize local resources. Beyond primary application of seaweed, excess seaweed will be used as construction materials to repair the deteriorated village house. The island has been an imperative research base for University School of Life Science. Understanding daily routine and experiment process of marine scientists, program of experiment station is designed. The definitions of machines has been present since fourth machine age. The thesis with the keyword of machine is a response and assurance that machines were created to assist man. The machines do not replace the traditional harvesting culture, but boosting the efficiency. At the same time, they together enhance the productivity of carbon dioxide regenerating cycle. The designed seaweed machines are arranged according to the seaweed harvesting process, from drying, stirring, roasting, and slicing to packaging. The seaweed will go through sampling and quality check, and part of them could be used for fermentation to provide biofuel to drive the programs. At the same time, they are served as food in communal canteen or snacks for visitors. The overall arrangement of programs allow visitors to fully engage with the production process, and seaweeds will form a critical element in the design space while performing its role. In order to respond to context with time, expansion of factory is foreseeable to absorb more carbon dioxide. The current design will allow the additions of programs of machine in the future. To further evaluate the feasibility of design in expansion, structural details and materials have been investigated to allow future additions of machines. The session has illustrated the symbiosis relationship of architecture and seaweed at Long Lok Soi. The seaweed processing factory plays a vital role for the island in transforming the raw material seaweed into energy, which is biofuel, food, and resources to support the island. Beyond primary application, excess seaweed will be used to repair the deteriorated village house. It also enhances the biodiversity at nearby sea zones while acting as barrier to ensure coastal safety. The atrium is a key space of the processing factory. Not only forming an important part of the architectural system, the seaweed helps creating the special experience for users. For scientists, it is a place facilitating their work and allowing them to stay for in-depth site study. The design illustrates a harmony between man and nature, the coexistence of communal space and machines. We could prospect the island turn into a seaweed-sustained island. Local ecology is utilized to provide resources for man while preparing the deteriorated system of the abandoned island. The project optimizing the characteristics of seaweeds in regenerating carbon dioxide and envision a scientific-based design approach. It illustrates the equilibrium between man and nature while providing a new prototype for climate change. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessie. It was indeed quite ingenious. I mean, I was quite blown away with the video, which we did see during our jury presentation as well. And yeah, and it's very strange that both the bronze winners are looking at manufacturing and production, because our next presentation by Wilson is also about the paradox factory in the city. So Wilson, over to you. Is he not here?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, A very good afternoon. I'm from Malaysia. My name is Wilson. My project is titled Paradox Reimagining Factories in the City. Factories are often associated as a black hole of an urban area. However, do you know that factories used to be celebrated as part of the city? The factories today are typically emotionless and monofunctional in an industrial zone. The stigma of industrial architecture has long been planted into the mindset of urban dwellers, which creates a separated and dubious typology in our urban area. This resulted in an unsafe social environment where people are exploited, factory workers are exploited, and you can see the examples in these pictures. So the idea of this research, my thesis, is to have social integration as part of the urban community within a factory setting. So to understand that, we need to understand the waste created from the urban factory and what are the feasibilities of it. And of course, the main factor for all this, for architecture, cost reduction in a building. So these are all the different ideas that can be seen and studied upon. Some precedent studies which I've done in Malaysia, there are 2 local factories here which are really trying to do what integrate for the workers and greeneries as well, which is the very famous one is Pyramid Factory. This is located in Penang, Malaysia, as well as Factory on the Earth in Johor. For my research, I've done a study in a survey for 100 respondents locally, and these are the findings. Of course, I've synthesized all the findings into sketches, and this is what people want here locally. So factories should be connected with the community. Factories should have a sort of green parks as nodes within the factory itself. Factories should be a learning platform for the people. Outdoor spaces to promote public participation, and the most important, factories should not be considered as a black hole of the urban area. So the application of the schemas, which is the synthesis just now, I applied it into the site in Johor Bahru, which is just neighboring to Singapore. Currently, the site is a 10-acre site, which is currently full of cars. It's a normal car park, but the surrounding it is a sort of residential zones, as well as commercial zones over here. What you are facing over at the site is called urban shrinkage, which is like a donut where people just take the train over to Singapore to work, and nobody is living there anymore. So there's no sense of place. What happened to the genius loci? There exists a paradox, a contradiction between the selfish architecture and a sense of place needed by the community. With this, the study on Bernard Shumi's architectural paradox, he compared it to the pyramid and the labyrinth. The pyramid he interprets it into mathematics, physics, and the philosophy of a building, but the labyrinth is the sensory of space. From this, the design objective is to challenge the stigma of existing industrial architecture by injecting community integration into the architectural design, and to revitalize the urban site affected by urban shrinkage through the creation of urban community magnet. So the first step is to enforce and to create a sort of framework. I call this the AEIOU framework, which is activities, environment, interactions, objects, and the users. All of this creates an environment where architecture should be created for the people. So the first ideation is the segregation of 2 different building blocks, and the contradiction is to break through them and maybe assimilate them together. And the building spaces stacked upwards, and the contradiction is just to cut through a void in between. And bridging of spaces, why not we just bridge and irregularly from another floor to another floor? So all this contradiction and all these ideas is to challenge the stigma of current factories. So can a factory still exist in the city? The first step is to create the urban context. This is more towards a macro analysis, where this is the VGA, visual graph analysis through space syntax. So various different type of options are created, where the best is, I can't really see it. The best is actually to create this little funnel through the site, which is also inspired by architect Kenzo Tange's floating cities, where it elements and connects the whole site together. So the idea is to create this urban factory which integrates itself as part of an urban life. So we can see that the factory should assimilate the residential community as well as the commercial community at the site. So it becomes a bridge between the two different identities. The building actually it starts with a ground scraper journey where the public is able to enter the factory and experience the factory instead of just going into these hazardous spaces. This is called the ground scraper journey, where all the public spaces are. It will be hidden within the underground where the spaces start. So this journey is actually created from this axis, the site axis created from the space syntax analysis, where it started with the underground oasis and slowly the spaces grow upwards. Of course, I'm just trying to create a very light and airy building, and natural ventilation and natural lighting is of course optimized as through these design simulations. The main idea is to have the factory spaces as learning platforms, so it should be showcased. This is the production space in the middle, where you can see a lot of people in the center. So when the public enters through the factory, all the spaces are, although they are hidden and closed away, they are still open to viewing. There are some perspectives. The central space become a shared courtyard between the public and the factory, and it can become a learning platform. Yeah, basically that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wilson. Now, our honorable mention, he has apologized. He's from Manila, but he's out of Manila at present and could not connect, but he sent in his presentation, and Professor Mokati very kindly agreed to give a synopsis of that presentation. So Professor Mokati, just a short summary if you can. Thank you.
Okay. Wait a minute. I would like to share this presentation. Yes. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm Ahmad Saifuddin Mutaki from Indonesia as the Zone B jury, and I will present Lawrence's work about the diapology as the honorary mention award winner. He apologized from not appearing in the person in this great forum, and Lawrence sent Khadija 6 slides and 1 video movie, and if I'm also apologize if presenting this great work is not perfect. Okay, I will start the presentation. The apology linkages between architecture and biodiversity conservation. It is a center of biodiversity conservation which champion with the Filipinos initiative to conserve the Filipino lush complexity of the natural resources and to foster awareness among local and important of the country unique biodiversity and its impact on society, economy, and climate change. It is a physical embodiment of sustainability, benefiting present and futuring generation by emphasize the symbolic relationship between people and natural resources. This site location with a prototypical approach. The project is designed to sit in various locations in Filipina, be it on plain, hill, swamp, or offshore site. But the project goal, the apologize main goal is to design a fort of communal facility, various expertise for which to reef conservation. And prototype design resembling into the archipelago geographical country. The configuration of modular spaces is also seen as an opportunity for a clear and well-regulated plan that offer easy for finding and accessibility. And prototype design features like a stilt, solar panel, green roof, lower, green construction, and modularity. So in this slide is a prototypical design concept and prefabrication and assembly. Site design feature less environmental footprint, zero trees cut down, preserve life below pavement, terrain, keep virgin, and site analysis. And so this is the site development concept of the zoning. And finally, I would like to share the video. Maybe this is the complete of his presentation. Yes, this is the presentation of Lauren's work. I think it's a great work. I'm sorry if I can't perfect presentation. Thank you, Khadija. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Makati. Indeed, this was really touching, the last part of it, the apology. And now I think I'll hand over the mic to Nuno, because he will have comments and questions for the presenters. And all those who are listening in, if you would like to post your question in the chat box, and then Nuno can take that on. Thanks.
First, thank you, Khadija. First, congratulations again to all the winners. I was once again going through all your projects, and it's really touching the attitude of this new generation. We can say that years back, many architecture presentations were based on form, were based on intention, were using the word me. And on these presentations, and this is common to all the presentations that we saw, they are based on we, they are based on the process, on the creating a good result for other people. So I think that we are very lucky to have this generation moving forward. I think that is really touching that they are so generous and so positive on all the presentations. So I think that this is a common note. I was trying to take some keywords that would be similar in several projects. And I think that thinking about architecture in a holistic way and thinking about the society where these buildings will be built is something that is part of every project. So maybe to just kickstart, one of the good things of having this possibility to be with our future architects is for them to explain a bit better their projects. So I will start with the first project, participatory housing. So there's a commandment already, so I will try not to repeat what was said before, but Kelvin, we were able to see that you had this idea of creating a system, of designing a system. And it was quite comprehensive. You're talking about individual participation, about transformation over time. And I think that your project one, it's an excellent project, but we also want to know a bit more about the challenges of this project. So I would have three notes that I would like to share with you, and I would like to hear your thoughts on these notes. One is that the system that you created will have a potential problem, which might be would be always under construction. So all of us that live in high-rise buildings or that lived before know that construction works in high-rise building can be a nightmare for neighbors. So how would you tackle this in your process? This is the first thing. The second thing is you've mentioned that in your algorithm, you try to balance conflicts between users. But from what we could see in your algorithm, it allows that one house would move into the space of another house. So in reality, how would these conflicts be dealt with? And then third, what would be the process of reconfiguration? So would this be always permanently being transformed, or would you have periods to do that? So back to you.
Right, thank you for your question. I think this question are basically what the reviewer when I presenting in my final presentation. So it's a very great question. It tackled my thesis like very deeply. So the first question is about the construction. So I think I mentioned you can set up different community rules and community regulation in the algorithm or the setting within the building. So for example, like the community can set up some rules of like, we can have the changing every 3 months or every season. So within that period of construction, we can minimize the influence to the neighbor. So when people moving in or moving out, they can do it in certain period. It can be set up by the community, like agreement between the neighbor or communities. So that's the first question I will how I answer. So the second one is the user conflict. So I will see it from two aspects. The first one is in the very beginning. So when all the residents moving into the new building, so the algorithm should allocate different user when they picking the house. For example, like I want a larger view or larger lighting. The algorithm should move that big apartment to the top of the building, and people like a studio or like a more privacy, it will automatically move to the bottom of the building. So it will eliminate this kind of fundamental conflict in the very beginning within the algorithm. And the second aspect is after the move in, like when the building is operating. So I think it's also going back to the community rules. Like you can't have like unlimited space and unlimited what you want, right? So setting up the community rules is important to configure those criteria. So when newcomer moving in, they should follow the rules that set up by the communities. So that's I will consider that two aspects of new and operating tower. And the third one, sorry, the third question.
The process of reconfiguration. So how would you reconfigure? So I would buy one apartment and then I want to change it. So how would that work?
Yeah. So it's like the first and second question is like, it can be done within the community rules, like certain periods. Yeah, it can be like within different cycle of construction period. So I don't think there's a ultimate goal of the building. It will just keep evolving. And once the residents move out, the new will come. So I don't think it's an end process and there's an ending for the tower. Yeah.
Thank you. So do we have more questions for Kelvin?
No, can I just try to ask one question?
Sure.
I think it's a fantastic idea, what Kevin has in mind. But I'm just wondering whether or not, is it too much of an ivory tower? Because in real life, there are concerns like commercial determination of the area, and you know your flat size is determined. You bought the flat, and you know so therefore all these issues are at the moment not considered. Yeah, and also in terms of the structural framing, the services, and all that, it may not be as easily exchangeable as you would like it to be. But I like the idea. It's just that at the moment now, maybe it works better if it's at the design phase. The algorithm that you had, this computational beam is fantastic. I mean, the idea of coming into so many possible solutions, the various permutation to allow you to find a good fit in terms of the orientation and the number of units that you want to combine in a tower. But I think after which it becomes a little bit difficult for you to make the changes. So that's my very realistic opinion. I'm just concerned that people will throw it out of the window. But I think it's a fantastic idea. But if you layer it with the practical concerns, it still be a good idea. But that means the minute it's constructed, it will be more or less fixed, save for the internal movement of partitions. Yeah, that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wonder what you say. Yeah, maybe Kevin, you can respond to that.
I think because I'm limited by this short presentation, I cannot include all the study I have been researched for. So one of the part is I mentioned the discrete material. So the concept of having a central core with a main structure and then discrete material to attach on those main structure is one of the structure I would like to propose for this kind of participatory housing. So it also minimizes the effect, the influence to the surrounding neighbor, because the discrete material can be installed or demolished individually. So I think, yeah, what you mentioned is correct, because this project is ideally ignoring the land price, the cost of the fabrication, and also the money side. But I think it's a really good kickstart of this kind of participatory system or bottom-up design for a new housing strategy, because I think money and the cost is not the top priority as an architect or as a designer. I think the human inspiration and also the human needs is the most important we should consider and also we should tackle with.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think that this project is one of those projects, as we were mentioning on the commendation, that is an idealistic one. But one of the differences that we see from other projects is that this one tries to design it within a system. So again, I think that several, if this was in Macau, what we know that would happen is that each user would maximize their area. So at the end, you would not have a permeable facade. It would be just maximized. So of course, your project is an idealistic one. And one of the reasons why the jury selected your project as a winner, it's because it again, opens a discussion that needs to be brought to the design field, which is to design this individual ambition to be able to customize our own space. So I think that your thesis is very inspiring, because it's not just, it does not have only this kind of idea, but it tries to design it within an economic and within a system of Hong Kong. So again, I don't think that is a closed project, but that is a very good start. And what we're trying to do also at Toy ARCASIA is to inspire future editions. So I think that we are trying to give voice to our students, to the topics that are relevant for you and for the future of architecture. And I think that your title, your project, the key concepts that you're tackling on this thesis are very relevant ones. So I think that don't stop on the thesis, try to push this forward during your professional career. And from all of us, congratulations once again for a brilliant project.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So let's move now to the silver awards. Faris from Malaysia. So congratulations again. I think that we were all very impressed with a very unusual and comprehensive master plan. So you started, so your project is at the same time pragmatic and at the same time idealistic. So you have this, this interest in technology, in tectonics. It's a project that is very unusual also, because usually projects are technological or they are poetic, and your project can achieve both things at the same time. It's highly technical and highly poetic at the same time. So we were all also very well impressed with the graphic quality and with the almost art-like presentation that you have. So even if people don't understand the project, they will be fascinated by it and they will develop an interest to try to dig deeper. And when they dig deeper, there's substance there to look into. So again, congratulations, it's a very comprehensive project. I will focus, I will just ask you a few questions, one question that I think that is important, and this will be an underlining question that will cover all your colleagues that were winners also on this presentation, which is this part of the individual participation. So you've developed a system that is somehow a master plan system. So then people will need to fit in and they will need to dialogue with this. So my question to you is, again, you mentioned that even on the houses, on the housing types, that they would be able to customize, or that this would be an individual participation. So my question to you is, at two levels, in the unit level, how would people be able to customize their own units? And then in the macro level, how could different lifestyles fit within this scheme? Because we need to be careful that we cannot really design lifestyles. We are architects, right? So people will think in their own way. So how would individual lifestyles fit within such master plan?
I see. Thank you for the questions. The first, I will go to the unit. I think my question will cover both on how this unit will responded towards the lifestyles of the indigenous people in Malaysia, because we know that they are outdoor people. They are very much like to go to explore the forest, and they would love to do not sit at home. That's their culture. That's why basically the housing units are depending on the number of the families. For example, as I mentioned before, as I showed before, there are few types that can be like the main type of the houses, but then it can be expanded. For example, if they're married, so they have another sons and also a daughter, maybe. So basically, these units can be dependent on the lifestyle. For example, if A love being outdoor, not outdoor as in outdoor, but then love more outdoor spaces in their in the houses instead of like a typical rooms. So the unit basically can be customized and also can be used as a more outdoor spaces instead of more room spaces. So basically, this like an IKEA system can be expandable and also can be systemized in a way that it will fit the lifestyle. Yeah, the question may be raised that how do I define my lifestyles? So it can be like a remove and take easily because it's like a modular system. So basically, they can do it themselves. So if these types can't fulfill their needs, it can be choose to another types. So this is like a question of trying to adjust it with your lifestyles. Is that answering your question?
So what you're trying to say in this case is maybe indigenous people are not so familiar with IKEA or instruction manuals, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like what would happen with this kind of scheme would be that maybe the structure would be there, but then the skin and the internal elements would be highly transformed by the users with the techniques that they are used to. So in your answer, you're answering this. So your objective is not to create a predefined or a final result, but it's basically to kickstart the process. And again, that attitude is much more interesting in regards to what you have. So you're basically providing a possibility, but open to different interpretations and different adaptations. Thank you. So do we have questions from the floor?
Yes, I have a little question.
Yes.
Go.
Thank you for your explanation. I appreciate very much your works, and now I have a little wonder of your project. That is, I think this is a project of landscape or a little small scale urban project, not just architectural project or architecture system. So do you have any consideration of transportation system in this area between school and other community or village?
I see. This is like a question that I've been asked in my final presentation too. That's why if you can see that all of the modulars, all of the system that I created is like a modular system, and the modular system that I have introduced to make it like a easy to be transported. It means that the system that I introduced, for example, for the house, for example, the beam, the maximum size of the beam that I've introduced is only like 1.5 meters. So it can be easily transported even in the jungles. It can be easily customized by the people itself, so that this idea of having their own houses can be easy because we not trying to make a transportation issue a big issue. So I try to resolve it so that it can be solved by the people itself, and also it can be internally solved towards inside the systems.
Yeah, thank you. Because I think it is quite a long pathway, and then there will be probably old people and young kids, and they, they can't work so long all day. So I have a question. Yes, thank you.
All right, okay, thank you so much.
So do you have more questions? Rita.
One comment. I like your approach. I think I like the fact that you have done a very good macro approach as well as micro. On the micro part, the kit of parts idea is fantastic. Like you said, it's easily fabricated, and you can compose that according to what you want for your house. And I also like on the macro part of it that you actually provided ideas on solution to get energy. I think that's commendable. I just like to ask you to continue your pursuit. It's a very interesting approach to a project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita.
Do we have more comments or questions? Faris, I think that as we are all, as the jury was also discussing, I think that your project thinks about the process in a very holistic way. So it's, of course, during this discussion, we can always find things that can be improved. But I think that what we need to focus is on the potential of your thesis and on the potential of what you're showing. So you are using local materials. You have a system that is looking into the ecosystem that is surrounding, and you are also being very pragmatic. You're dealing with electric production, and this brings challenges, and you embrace those challenges to really create a better future. So I think that it's an inspiring thesis. Your graphics together with, so all the aspects are very consistent and very coherent, which is also commendable. So congratulations for your thesis. And again, try that the next project should be better than this one and implement it. So we will all benefit out of your talent. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So now let's move on to Seaweed Machine by Jessie. Jessie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Jessie, so this would be an island very close to me. I'm living here in Macau, so I'm very, very interested in your approach in a selfish way. So my world would be better because it's so near my house. Jessie, I think that, again, your project is very unusual. It's an architecture student talking about seaweeds. And what is also unusual is that you talk with knowledge, because basically it shows in your thesis that you're really focusing on the design process, integrating scientific knowledge, this big concern with ecological regeneration, and something that is also very interesting in your presentation, it's a deep ethical concern. So in every small move that you did in design, both in the macro scale or in the micro scale, there was always an ethical concern. And for us as a jury, this was something that we were all very well impressed with your project. So you're not just focused on design, you're not just focused on process, you're also focused on impact and on the basically social impact of your project. So what I would like to, so again, congratulations. You're focusing on this process, and you're basically, we were all started to look at that in a skeptical way. Then we look into your video, we look deeper in your thesis, and we were all convinced that was a really great scheme. So I think that this communication part is a very important part to make a scheme like this work. My question to you will be also on this individual participation. So you are creating a system, people that work there, of course they will be workers. What would be the wider impact of such project on that island? What would that island turn in the future if a project like yours would continue? Would this just be a seaweed factory, or would this have the potential to become a different kind of island with a richer kind of use?
Thanks for the question. And I think for my project, I wanted to become like a prototype to like inspire all others in the world, like how to tackle the issues of climate change with architecture. Because why I choose seaweed as the theme of my thesis project is because I try to look into climate change, and I think the root of the issue is about how to deal with carbon dioxide. And I investigate on the huge potential of seaweed. And then I find out one of the places in Hong Kong, such a crowded urban city, there is a place grow with huge amount of seaweed. And I chose this place to have my factory done. And how I foresee this island would be like in future, I think it will be like, as I've mentioned in the presentation, I think the factory could expand because there is unlimited sea surface area. No matter it is only say in the near the island or for the whole world, the seaweed farm could grow unlimitedly, infinite size. And together with the calculation, with the formula I mentioned in the presentation, the factory can growth in proportion. So it's like we can generate more food, we can recycle more carbon dioxide with larger scale of factory, with larger scale of seaweed farm. So I want to become like the whole island becomes a huge, gigantic seaweed machine and generate infinite amounts of carbon dioxide. And if such mechanism could apply in other countries, if they allocate some space for adopting such mechanism, then that could act as a machine for their country to recycle the carbon dioxide they generate too. This is what I prospect and imagine for my thesis project. Yes.
Great. It's great to see your true commitment. So when we were talking about the ethical approach, we could see at every turn of your project that you were really committed into the ideas that were the base of your thesis. I need to call for Adrianta because Adrianta was key in pushing for the discussion on your thesis. Adrianta, do you want to join us?
Right. Well, yeah, to be honest, Jesse, when during judging session, I truly impressed the thesis of yours, because it's not only about design. I'm talking about the maturity thinking. So I just wonder, surprisingly, it come from you. When I look at you, it's so surprised that how can you think about this kind of approach. That's why I just wonder. It's truly rare. Come up from the student talking about an island, and then you're talking about seaweed and talking about ecological. So maybe I just want a very simple question. What made you realize that it's a very important issues that you want to highlight and then shout it around the world? Why the reason to pick up this thesis? Is it because a design approach? Is it because of the sensitivity of the ecological? Because your approach, I have to share to all the juries, is truly maturity approach, Jessie.
I think what has driven me is because everyone has mentioned sustainable architecture in the world. Like it's a trend nowadays for architecture design. But for my approach, what I want to propose is regeneration. It's not only sustainable, it's a word like making no harm to the environment.
Right.
And regeneration is like bringing the community together and like bringing advantage back to the ecology instead of just doing no harm. And I think, and for me, why I am proposing seaweed to regenerate, to create a regenerative architecture is about, because everyone knows that like construction field is kind of the main cause for climate change, leading to like creating the most pollutants and damaging the ozone layers. And why can't we as architects like designing sorts of a sort of regenerative architecture instead of damaging the earth, like contributing to climate change but helping to solve the climate change issue? That's what's driven me to do such thesis and choose seaweed as a theme to draw people interest into such issue. Because most of people will like, wow, you are an architecture student, why you are choosing seaweed as a topic? Then they will
Exactly.
You can catch their attention to dig into your pieces and to understand what is actually happening now and what's actually the potential of regenerative architecture. Yeah, that's what I want.
Salute for that. Congratulations. Wonderful.
So we started this discussion trying to say, basically, how can we have a better impact? And our students, our graduates are saying, no, that ambition is not enough. We don't want to just create no harm. Guys, you need to be more ambitious. We need to create really positive impact and to repair the messed up world that you guys are leaving behind. So this is great. So it's exactly, so you're doing better than we asked for. So Jessie, congratulations once again for your thesis.
Well,
also,
I have one more question, please.
Sure, go.
All right, I agree with Andrianta. This is an amazing project. I saw that you put a lot of efforts in your project. And could you please tell me about the most challenge during you carry this project? I saw that you have many energy in this thesis. What is the most challenge during you carry?
I think for challenges, it's about like how to make this project convincing. because it's like many people would think it's just imagination is not going to happen. It's not going to be, it couldn't be a real approach in reality, because most people think student visas is just imagination, is not going to happen anyway. But then my tutor encourages me to talk with different people, like real scientists, real villagers, and like what I've said, because I'm proposing some sort of scientific design approach. And I really talk to scientists, like marine scientists that carry out seaweed experiments. They tell me the formula, like how much CO2 actually seaweed absorbs, and how you could calculate the size of your factory when assuming the seaweed size. I think the challenges also turns into opportunities. Like some people said it's not realistic, but I take a step to make it sounds more convincing, with different people helping me, like with stakeholders and sort of professors and scientists helping me to make the project solid. I think challenges turn into opportunities. Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
I think that you were convincing enough. We were convinced. Congratulations, Jessie, once again. Let's move now to Wilson. Wilson, are you there?
Hi. Yeah, hi.
So we have a very different kind of industry in your case. So again, congratulations for your presentation. We were all very well impressed with the quality of your presentation. It's a comprehensive design that is thoroughly thought, both on the impact on the surroundings, on the internal program of the building, on the sustainable approach that you took into your architecture. It's a very mature project. It's a very professional project. So you could be showing this not on the side of the student, but on the side of the professional. I have one question. You seemed in your critical take towards your projects that you had a critical framing of this problem. And I understood that you were quite open-minded in terms of these different programs. 20 years ago, people wouldn't do a thesis on industry. People would try to find more fancy programs and a more limited number of programs, if we look back 20, 30 years on the theses that were being done at that time. So what drove you to focus on industry? And what do you think that is the role of you as an architect in the future with this unusual program such as an industrial program?
Thank you for the question. Okay, factories in Malaysia, actually we just put them away. We segregated them away from other architectures, and we deem them as black holes of the urban community. There's even a local restriction where there's a 300-meter buffer where a factory is, and there cannot be any residential zones between around the factory. A factory is also an architecture where people go to work in. I don't understand why the need to segregate it. Of course, about hazardous spaces and all this is where architects' job come into play, where industrial architecture should be rethink, reimagined to be more safer, more greener, and closer to the people. And of course, it can be safer. That is what drives me to do my thesis.
And in the future, as an architect, what kind of programs would you be interested to pursue?
What kind of programs? You mean in my line of work or in this building, in a factory?
So the line of question that I'm following here is, in the previous years, people would consider that they would be architects designing housing, designing public buildings, designing a really limited amount of the built environment. And in your thesis, you're basically embracing an industrial site, and you're looking as an architect with a lot of generosity and interest into this kind of program. So my question to you is basically to basically help us to expand our interests as an architect. So what are the fields in terms of different programs that you would be interested, that maybe were not so well developed at this moment, that you would like to tackle in your future career as an architect?
Oh, that's a very hard question. Probably, how do we manage waste? I think that should be one of the most critically impacted environmental deprivating thing that we need to look into. For example, in a factory, there is the smokestack, which is one of the key point into a factory. I think that elements which revolves around waste production and how we manage waste. I think that should be the next thing we look into. I think.
Thank you. Khadija, you were very enthusiastic when we were discussing in the jury on this project. Can you jump on and comment on this?
I knew when you threw that question, Adrianta, for Jesse, this was coming to me.
Yes, exactly.
So I think the whole aspect of, we do talk about sustainability and all that. And then when you're actually segregating the manufacturing industry and the living quarters and all the rest of it, here what I saw in the project also was not only how the economy and the social aspect kind of is coming together. I think somebody, okay. So how that kind of works together, and that factory is not something that is shunned, because this is very much your economic backbone as well. And yet he has come up with ideas of how to treat the waste when it is part of an overall living environment. And indirectly, all of this responds to aspects of sustainability in terms of how you reduce that kind of transportation, how you reduce the time for people to travel. All the over and transportation causing the issues of climate change and all of that. So it's an indirect way of tackling other things, but at the same time, where architects are now not looking at industry as a place of to design or to make it part of an overall urban situation, because we do know that the migration happened from rural to urban areas, and they do happen for these places of work. So integrating all of that was actually, I thought, a very, very important aspect that he kind of managed to work on. And I would really hope that in your field of work now that you will be working as an architect, you will carry this forward, because that will really show your commitment to what you started doing in your final year of schooling.
Yeah, most definitely, yes.
So do you have more questions or comments from the floor?
Well, then I think, Nuno, now that we don't have Lawrence, then we can't really ask him any questions. So would you like to say your last few words before we go towards closing?
So first of all, thanks again for your presentations and for your brilliant work. It was a joy and a very difficult task for us, the jury, to go through the thesis. So we had 3 theses from each country. They were, as you can see on the book, they were of high quality. And I think that I tried to summarize some keywords and some key ideas that I think that are representative of this new generation that is in front of us. And that is very, very promising for the future. So I'll try to just summarize the common elements on the majority of theses that we got. So I think that there is a concern of this new generation with empathy. So this word was written in many theses, was expressed verbally by engaging with different stakeholders. So empathy as a starting point to be an architect is a very good starting point. Then all the projects had a very rigorous analysis. So it was not just a superficial approach, it was a rigorous analysis, sometimes with space syntax, sometimes with surveys, sometimes with different kinds of reports, but the analysis was a rigorous analysis. And this is something that I also think that is commendable, because we cannot be superficial when dealing with data. We need to be very, very serious with this. And I think that you were all very serious with this. So we have empathy, and then we have a serious analysis. Moving forward, we have a process. All the students were focusing on the process, not on the final results, not in the initial intention, but they understand that in our field, process is key for something to happen. So all of you were very focused on process and were able to map it, were able to design it, were able to communicate it. Then all the projects were very innovative. So innovation was intrinsical to all of your projects. So you all understand that as an architect, you have this responsibility also to bring something new and to innovate. So all the projects had this innovative ethos that was very natural to them. Then other thing that is also commendable is that everyone celebrated technology as a means to improve life. So all these theses, they understand technology as something that is natural and that is something that has the potential to improve life. And this is something that is common to the modern way of thinking. And you guys criticize modern way of thinking in many things, like the functional zoning of cities, like we just listened from Wilson. But you have this, you embrace technology as a way to make things better for the future. And I also think that this is fascinating to see such a consistent approach through all of you. Then another word and another key idea that we could see was participation. Participation won the gold award for this competition, and participation was present in many of your projects. Participation is something that is a bit difficult to manage, but is critical. The world is made of individuals. It's the house of many individuals, and we really need to welcome this. So participation, community, and economy were keywords in many of your theses. And again, 20, 30 years back, this was not there. This was not happening on architectural thesis. So again, congratulations for this, because basically what you're telling is that you understand the wider impact, outreach, and importance of our profession as architects. Other element that was present in most projects was nature. Again, as we've listened from Jesse, it's like, do no harm is not good enough. We need to improve what we have. So very ambitious approaches in terms of nature. This was also very interesting. Then all the projects were excellent in terms of design. So design excellence, that is something that architects are always talking. It's still there. So what you guys are telling us is that we are not losing anything, that this new generation is not losing any of the good things that the previous generation had, but they just brought much better ideas and much better ambition to the table. And in that case, it's my job to be a bit humble and to acknowledge that the generation that is coming after my generation is more ambitious, and is more capable. Then my final words will be that I'm very glad to know that all senior and young architects acknowledge that we have on each project that we do this individual opportunity and the individual responsibility to make a better impact. So again, congratulations for your commitment, for the quality of your work. And my advice to you is, don't stop on your graduation project. So your graduation project should not be your best project. Your next project should be better than this one. If you can try to do that, you will achieve amazing results. And I'm very, very glad to know that we have such a capable and committed new generation to do architecture in Asia. Congratulations again to all of you.
Thank you, Nuno. The interest of this session is actually quite evident, because Rita earlier had said that she'd be here maybe for 15-20 minutes, and she stayed here throughout the session. And I know your time is very precious. Thank you very much for your presence today and really taking an interest, asking the questions, and I think that's really motivating. I would also like to note that, you know, the winning projects are two from Hong Kong, 2 from Malaysia, and 1 from Philippines. What does that say? I think the whole purpose of doing this webinar also is that we carry the message to other countries, to other students. And there were great entries, no doubt, even in the shortlist. And that's why we have the book, so that they have access to it. And I'm hoping that this recording, when it's available, people will take time out to see it and understand why this was high quality, why it won the awards, and how to learn from it. And it is not only the students. I think the jurors who go to these schools we'll learn a lot from it as well as to what we are looking for. Anyway, and before I hand over the mic to our very, very animated Adrianta, I keep calling you that, I would personally like to thank Rita and Gyandra, and also Navpreet at Gyandra's office for really, really helping out in all of this, and my colleague at IIT, Bismaskari, for taking care of all the graphics, and our sponsor Nippon Paints for this afternoon. Over to you, Adrianta.
Wow, thank you so much, my beloved sister, Architect Khadija. You're hosting a great session today, such a beautiful and informative session. And to President Rita So, my goodness, we are so honored that you can spend time with us the whole session. I'm so happy on behalf of all of us. We are so happy and glad that you are still with us. Thank you so much. And kudos to our chairman, our brother, my good friend, Architect Gayandra, such a committed chairman. And please say thank you to Nafrit, your team behind the scene. They are so hardworking, so committed. And to all the juries, Architect Nuno Sores, such a beautiful and great moderation today. And I believe all the students beneficial and enlightened. Thank you so much, Nuno. And don't forget to our past president, Architect Josh Kunihura from Japan, Architect Ahmad Saifuddin Mutaki from Indonesia. Thank you, Pak. Yeah, thank you so much. Architect Inbun Kim. Yeah, thank you from Kira. And also, my good friend from Thailand, Professor Pachlada, you remember that this is your dream when you presented this back here in Delhi. My goodness, the dreams come true. And
Thank
to all,
you.
yeah.
Finally, it comes true.
Finally,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So the ball start rolling now. And to all the ARCAI committee members, and I don't forget, I would like to say thank you to the viewers here. I can see Architect Norwina, our Vice PAM President, Architect Alvin Lim, Architect Ratapong from Thailand. Yeah, he's on the screen now. Architect Shariful Islam, I can see that on the screen. Our legendary architect, Architect Sahab Ghani Khan. Yeah, all the way from Pakistan, Architect Mansur Ahmad. How are you, brother? Architect Mir also I saw just now. Architect Jayanta, yeah, I saw him just now. And Architect Anjumala, President of SONA, yeah. And also thank you to Architect Russell, our new SILIA, Sri Lanka President. Architect Russell are here also. And also the coming President ARCASIA, Architect Abu Said, be joining just now joining us. And thank you to Nippon Deco providing us this platform. Thank you so much, Nippon Deco. And congratulations to all the winners and all the participants, students of ARCASIA. I think I should congratulate to your lecturers, to your professor back in university. You make your universities proud, you make your country proud, and don't forget, congratulations to your parents as well, to all your families. Yeah, I can see the personal satisfaction. That's what I can call it, is the most important ingredient of success. So this is the art of being happy architects, to be satisfied with what you have done today. And I would like to dedicate to all the ARCASIA students. Do join us, keep in touch with us so that we can participate the next coming competition. And my closing remarks dedicated to all the finalists and all the winners that you have presented your thesis. This is your achievement. The act of achieving attachment and accomplishment. And from here, you can believe yourself that you're braver than you can believe, that you can think, and more talented than you know, and capable of more than you can imagine. So from this moment, look at the day when you are supremely satisfied at the end. And remember, it's not the day when you lounge around doing nothing. It's the day that you had everything to do and you have done it. So when you do some good and great works and inspiring others, then you had just created a ripple effect, helping others to achieve their dreams. So greatness is inspiring others to be the best. And to all architects of tomorrow, a future architect, you are the creator of your own destiny. So let's rise and give a round of applause to everybody here. Such a beautiful session. And thank you so much. Such a beautiful session. Be safe, be healthy, and be happy, architects. Thank you, Khadija.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Rita, any closing remarks from you? Because you stayed the whole time.
No, it's an excellent session. I think I concur with whatever they said, and nobody can say anything better than Adrianta. Such a resounding conclusion. Thank you very much, Adrianta.
He's preparing for 2022, actually.
Oh my goodness.
I think so too.
So what we have done in our committee, Rita,
yeah,
chairman would be the head juror.
Yeah, very good.
So I would be hanging on next year with him, actually.
No way. You have to bring you along with Nuno, with Pachlada, Khadija, everything.
For information, we actually all, myself and Adrianta, we need to thank Khadija. She came forward and she really wanted to organize this event. The whole credit goes to Khadija. She was the one who was after me and Navpreet in the ACA secretariat. Sometimes she used to message me, Rita is not responding, or Nuno is not responding, or somebody else is not responding. But all salute to her. And thank you, Khadija, for organizing such a beautiful event. And I think this would be an eye-opener, and you are right. All the students from other zones will also participate in this Thesis of the Year award. And congratulations to you once again, and thank you so much for being there.
Yeah, I concur with that wholeheartedly, Khadija. Indeed, a very well-run, program that you have put for all of us. And I hope that this year's participation, when we launch the 2021 Toy Awards, I believe there'll be more participants.
Yes, yes. So thank you all. Maybe we can conclude.
Yes, and Nuno, thank you for a great moderation.
Thank you for all the
right on top of
participants, Nuno, Professor Mutaki, Pekleda, and everybody else joining there. Alvin, I can see you. Hi, brother. How are you? Alvin,
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you, Khadija. Thank you, Kia. Thank you.
Bye.
Rita.
Be safe, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. A great moment. Thank you.
Thank you for